What's up, Coach? Welcome to another episode of Build with the CEO. We are in week 3 of the Get More Clients project. I'm going to bring my mic here a little bit closer. We are in week 3 of Get More Clients project. My name is Trevor. I'm your host, and I'm excited to be here. I'm privileged to be here and talk about. Today is going to be one of my favorite topics to talk about, and that's going to be filling your program. Now, the title that we put around this was Nobody is Coming to Your Launch. And this is a very real reality for new coaches that don't have large audiences. No one is coming to your launch, meaning you're going to talk about this on the socials or everywhere, and you're not going to get much of a response. But that's okay. I'm going to give you a ton of strategies today where you can go and fill this thing by invitation. That's going to be the key thing I want you to take away from today is you're going to have to go out and invite people to this. You can't just announce it. You can't build it and they will come. We have to go out and invite people. Your program is going to be built one invitation at a time. I hope that you get to a point where you can make an announcement and you will be able to fill things. And you can get to that point. And there's a lot of coaches that are at that point, but the vast majority of people listening and participating in this are going to need to go after ground roots, guerrilla marketing, one invitation at a time. Okay. So up to this point, we should have our funnel built. We should have all our infrastructure built. We should have our marketing statement done. I had a number of people post in the Get More Clients on the Get More Clients community, their marketing statement. I was able to give really good feedback. And so if you haven't posted your marketing statement in that portal, Jacob just dropped it in the chat. Thanks, Jacob. Make sure you do that. I think it's really helpful. It's good for me to be able to see what you have going on. And every single one, I've been able to give some feedback and ultimately make the statement better. That statement is really the core of everything, all of the marketing that we do. And if we get that statement right, everything else is going to become that much easier. So that's number one. Get that marketing statement in the community. Make sure you're using the getmoreclients.coachcatalyst.com page that we've built to help keep you organized as you're kind of ticking the boxes and filling everything out. If you're a little bit behind, that's okay. I'm going to give you the core things that you need to execute right away. And Susan just said that marketing statement is like birthing a child. I don't know what that's like. I was there when my wife did it, but yeah, it is hard. And that's why putting it into the community, I'm going to be able to give you some really good feedback on it and make it a little bit easier. So there is one thing that I want to add to that marketing statement that I left out last week that I think can be valuable in helping remove risk from the buying process. And that's what we call a guarantee, right? A guarantee. Most people offer a money back guarantee. You see it everywhere. A money back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, we'll give you your money back, whatever, right? I don't really think that's all that powerful. And so how I've really thought about coaching, right, is our job as coaches is to get someone a result. And in my mind, if I'm an expert and I've created a program and someone followed that program the way that I had built it and they didn't get the result, that's on me, not on the client. Right. And so, but I'm not really in the whole, I'll just give you your money back. That person wanted a result. So let's get them a result. So let's create a guarantee around results guaranteed. And how I've come up with this, and I think this is a good framework to work on, is we have a very specific result in our marketing statement that we're going to help that person achieve. Now let's guarantee that result. And if they don't get that result, let's coach them for free until they do. We have the marketing statement, we have the result, we think we can get the client in that time frame. If they don't get it and they've executed, we can have that in our terms and conditions and our contracts and whatever, right? That if they don't, have a high enough compliance percentage or don't tick off their workouts or whatever those things are, right? You'll coach them for free until they get that result, right? That should be us as experts. You know how to get this person a result. And if they're doing the work, they should get that. So that's a really cool guarantee that you can add into this that removes all risk, right? The person is going to pay for the challenge. And if they don't get the results, you keep coaching them until they get that result. And that's going to be worth more than any refund or anything like that, right? If even if they don't get it in that time frame, you coach them for an extra week to get there, boom, they get it. They're guaranteed to go into the next piece because they understand that you care about them as a coach. And that means more than really anything. So I want you to think about a results guarantee and not a refund. Okay, and we're thinking about our guarantee. And I want you all to have one and even be able to talk about one when you are having calls with people. Make it short and sweet and remove any risk from really joining your program. Okay. Next thing, I saw this comment come in the community, and I wanted to just comment on it here because I think this is a mindset that a lot of new coaches have, and really a lot of coaches in general. Let me paint the picture here. So the reason you got into coaching likely was not to make a boatload of money, right? Coaching is probably not the best avenue to making a boatload of money, right? You got into coaching because you either had a personal transformation, you had a coach that had a large impact on your life, or you have a passion for helping people achieve something, right? It's probably why you got into coaching. So it was more about helping someone else achieve a result and less about making a boatload of money, right? There are better ways to make boatloads of money. So you got into it to help people. And most coaches then think that them just getting it to help people will be enough in order for them to have a successful business. Right? Remember, the whole goal here is for you to create a business that serves you so that you can keep coaching for the next decade. And so we need to create a business. And the core of every business, every single business on earth, is money, is cash flow. And how do we produce cash flow? We sell things. So the comment that came in the community was really around, hey, I think she had gotten 3 or 4 people from just reach outs, which is awesome, right? If anyone else has gotten kind of people interested in what they're doing from reach outs, drop it in the chat because I'd be curious to how that's going for you, right? And so she talked about she had people already, right? She already had people that were reaching out, cool. And now the next step was she was going to email her list, right? And she wanted to kind of figure out what would it look like in emailing the list, right? And the final line was, I don't want to be like, hey, buy my stuff. And that was like verbatim. But I think this is a common mindset that we see in the coaching industry is I don't want to sell. I don't want to be pushy. We have this like thought in our head of like the used car salesman, and we're like selling people trinkets and stuff they don't need and all of this stuff, right? And so, one, we have to get rid of this mindset because we're not like selling crack to kids here. Like, if you're on this call, you are actively making someone's life better. You're likely helping them live longer. You're likely helping them improve the quality of their life, potentially the quality of their relationships. Coaches can change the entire trajectory of someone's life. And so, selling, you should feel like you have to sell, right? It's inside of you to sell because selling means that you are helping more people. So you can just get rid of the word sell and insert the word help, and we're doing the same thing, right? Every coach should become an incredible salesman because that means that you're going to be able to help that many more people. Remember, you're changing the trajectory of people's lives, not selling crack to kids. If you're selling crack to kids, cool. I don't need you to be a good salesman. But if you are changing people's lives, I need you to be an incredible salesman. And when you get there, when you kind of get through the mindset that really selling is helping someone, you're going to start building your business and you're not going to be afraid to talk about what you're doing. And it's not going to be right for everyone, and that's okay. That's the other thing is I think sometimes we fear a little bit of the rejection, right? And so I want a yes or a no. Right? A non-answer is really the worst answer. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more as we go on here. So sell more. That's the mantra here. Sell more, sell more, sell more, because you will be helping more people, changing your community, and ultimately making the world a better place. So sell more, sell more, sell more. All right. So a few things that I talked about. This may be the first program that you're running, or maybe a new program in a while. In the past, I've encouraged people that are new coaches to use the term beta. Okay, beta. And I've kind of went back and forth on this word, and I'm not encouraging people for this to use the word beta if it is like your first round and you're testing it. The term I want you to use is like first class. So if this is your first class, right? The first time you've run something as a group or anytime you've launched a program, first class, it gives a little bit more, it feels a little higher class. It has some more perceived value to it. And it stays true to what is actually happening. It's the first class. We're going to provide a first class experience. And we're actually going to use this kind of trip analogy throughout what we're doing today. So I want you to think about language and what you're using because it is important. And don't be afraid to like change things. Right? I thought beta for a long time would be a good way. And I still think it has some merit in certain situations. But for what we're trying to do here, I think first class is a better representation of what you're trying to do. And throughout the call today, I'm going to give you a ladder. Okay. I'm going to give you a ladder. Let's call it like the warmth ladder, where we start with the warmest things first. And just like you climb the rungs of the ladder, as we move up the ladder, things are going to get a little bit colder. And so when you are thinking about implementing the things that we talk about today, start at the lower rungs and then only move up to the next rung once you've exhausted the previous rung, because they get a little bit harder as we go up the rungs. They get a little bit colder. And the other thing I'm going to do for you today, because there are really two tracks here of coaches. We have some brick and mortar or hybrid type coaches, and then we also have some online only coaches. So I'm going to try and give examples for each domain, online only or brick and mortar. And then finally, we have to think about like our scoreboard. Your scoreboard for this particular program is how many conversations have I had? Right. If the goal is 10 people in your program on September 11th, when it goes live, we likely have to have 25 to 40 ish conversations, right? 25 to 50% conversions from those conversations. I think I saw Kristen in the chat. And Kristen, I think she already has 3 people in it. She's had 5 conversations right there. You're already at like more than 50%. So you can expect to convert with warm, really warm people that already know, like, and trust you, that kind of 25 to 50-ish percent. Maybe it might be higher, but just know that like we need to have that many conversations. We should be shooting for 40 to 50 conversations over the next 2 weeks in order to fill this thing, right? And now remember the strategy. The strategy that we've given you so far is we have, hopefully it's open right now where people can register to win a full ride, which puts them on the wait list for your program. So we're getting people to raise their hand, no commitment yet. And one person that raised their hand is going to get a scholarship for the program. And it's not a raffle, it's a scholarship. You're going to choose the person that is the most deserving. So when you're talking about this in public, because you're running a scholarship, right? Someone is going to get it for free, right? That takes the income piece out of it completely. And so a good way to frame this when you're talking about it is not everyone can afford coaching. And so that's why you've done a scholarship, is so that someone that may not be able to afford coaching can tell you their story, tell you why they need this scholarship, why they want this scholarship. And then you're going to choose the one that's the most deserving. So that allows you to kind of widen your net a little bit with who you're talking to. But the scholarship wait list play is the initial play. And then we're going to open the doors. I believe it's like September 1. But don't quote me on those dates. We're going to open the doors to everybody. So our entire wait list, then you're going to pick a winner. Anyone that got second place is going to get a special second place prize. And then we're going to announce to everyone else, our list, and everywhere else we have audience, everywhere else where we have influence, that it's open and people can come in and buy and jump in. If you did put a cap on it, that's also a good tactic we can use around scarcity. Is maybe you're only bringing 10 people into this program, and then you can, in places where you're publicly displaying information, is, hey, we have 8 spots left, we have 6 spots left, we have 4 spots left, whatever that may be. We don't want to induce false scarcity here. So we don't want to say we're going to have 10 in and then we bring in 25, right? That's just that ruins your reputation. But if you feel like 10 would be a great number, you would feel awesome about it, put that on it. And then you can always, if you fill at that 10, open it up for another 10 if you did have a lot of interest, but maybe do it kind of like a staggered a week or 2 after that. So let's get into all of the different plays here. Let's get into all the different plays that we can run. And you're going to start top down. Play number one, this is our warmest, easiest one, and we're going to go all the way up to play number 7. And remember, we got 2 tracks. We have our online only track, and then we have our brick and mortar track. And I'm going to try and give you some examples throughout and things that have worked in our own businesses, things that I've seen that working in other coaching businesses. So let's kick it off with the first one. And we've actually already talked about this one. And this one is the guest list. Okay. My challenge to you, I believe it was in week 1, was to come up with a list of 20 people, 20 names that are going to get a one-to-one invitation, personal, not a BCC, not a blast, not anything like that, but a personal invitation to your program, right? They must fit the client, the perfect client. They must fit our marketing message, right? They must be interested in that. We need 20 of those people. If you have not done that yet, if you are behind, that is the first thing. Literally, cell phone, right? Email list, contacts in your community, right? Anywhere that you have influence, groups that you're part of. If you're part of a church, right? Those are people that so we just have to start getting creative here and come up with a list of 20 people that fit what we're trying to do, that we can essentially help, right? 20 people that we can help. And then if we are capping it, right? If we are only taking 10 or only taking 12, that gives us a little bit of that scarcity, right? So that's first, the guest list. If you are a brick and mortar, that may be looking at your members, right? That might be past members, anyone that did a day pass, anyone that has done trials in the past. This is very targeted outreach. So don't reach out to people you don't want to work with, right? Only people you really like that are going to be able to achieve the result that you're helping people achieve, right? Think about it like a guest list. It's personal invitations. And then play number 2, we already talked about it a little bit, but it's the full ride, right? These go in conjunction, right? We're offering a scholarship to one person for this particular program, right? One scholarship, not a raffle. It's based on the application, right? This isn't like likes, shares, tags, any of those types of campaigns. It's literally an application, right? And anyone that joins the wait list is automatically going to be applied to the raffle. So we're collecting their information. There's no downside for someone opting into this, right? They might win the program, right? They might win the program or get chosen, I should say, for the program, right? And then they'll have the option to either do it or not if they don't win. Pretty simple, right? And then it gives us that next deadline where scholarships are done on Monday night, August 31st, or whatever you choose, right? Because we're going to announce the winner on, right, September 1st. So, number 1, guest list. Number 2, full ride. That gives us a couple plays early on to be able to build that wait list. And yes, Todd, I would use the same landing page, and then it's just going to flip right away. The button on the landing page is to join the wait list and apply for the scholarship. And then the button on the landing page would just flip into essentially the buy now button that would go into your checkout cart. Okay. So number 1, we have guest list. Number 2, we've got the full ride. Number 3, we have the homeroom. Okay. So the homeroom for our brick and mortar folks, this is an announcement after every class, after every session. For our digital folks, it is a PS on every email that goes out. It's links in the bio, your email signature, community banners, anywhere where there is an audience that already knows, likes, and trusts you, right? These are the people that are potentially already buyers of something, or they're really, really, really warm, right? So easy one, brick and mortar. We've got pamphlets up that people are grabbing. We've got signs in the restroom stalls, right? We're just trying to promote everywhere within our home base. Everywhere in our home base. If you've got a Facebook group, you've got a banner inside of your Facebook group, right? We're just trying to make sure that every single person who's already in our world knows what we are doing. Okay. So that's what we call play number 3, the home room. Then we get into play number 4. This is the revival. Okay. And this one works really, really well. This is probably the cheapest play on the ladder. And in this play, we would use what's called the 9-word email. If you have done any kind of research or learning around email marketing, you've probably seen the 9-word email. And it's really simple. Hey, name, are you still looking to insert outcome? lose weight, get fit, right? Stop your knees from hurting, whatever that may be, right? It's the outcome from the marketing message is right there. And it's simple. That's all it is. It looks and feels like a personal invitation. We can blast this out in mass, and we're getting them to reply. That's the whole thing. We want them to reply to start a conversation, right? And then open up. Here's what we have going on. Here's a way that I can help you right now. Pretty simple. So brick and mortars, this might be canceled memberships. This might be uh, people that came in for a consult or a success session but never signed up, right? Prospects, no shows to those meetings. We should have all this kind of like tagged and organized inside of our CRM. And then for our online folks, email list, an old email list, expired leads, goes to DMs, any canceled people, people that have worked with you in the past, all of that stuff, right? Anyone that has worked with you, has expressed interest in working with you, and we give them this 9-word email. Hey, insert name, right? Are you still looking to lose weight or whatever that outcome is? Simple. We want to reply, right? That's the goal. We want to reply, we have the conversation, and then if it makes sense, we let them know how we can help them, which is the program that we're running, right? So that's play number 4, the revival. So we've got play number 1, guest list. Number 2, the full ride, offering the wait list and the scholarship. Number 3, we've got the homeroom. Everyone in our world knows what's going on. Number 4 is the revival. Now, number 5 is kind of like a booster. Okay. And we ran this a ton back in the day, and we still run it a fair amount in our brick and mortars. But this one we are calling the +1. How do we turn every person that raises their hand and says they're interested into 2? Right. So we want them to bring a friend. In the brick and mortar world, this is like bring a friend day, bring a friend week, right? Bring a friend to a charity workout. It's any we're trying to go 1 degree away from the people that already know, like, and trust us. And this can be members too. Like someone that's already part of our program, they can bring a friend who isn't part of it and then do it with them. There's a couple reasons why this is really powerful. Number 1 is it provides social accountability, right? Because in this program, the participants, right, the clients are going to have accountability to you, the coach. But if we can add a social component, accountability from a friend, a family member, something like that, they're actually going to get better results, right? So that adds the social accountability to them, because they're going to be asking their friend or their family member how they're doing, and they're going to be checking in on each other along with you checking in with them. Yes, these all this stuff is going to be recorded. So this whole recording will be in the Get More Clients page, and it'll also be on YouTube. So once we get done, it should be up later this afternoon. Okay, so we want this +1. How do we turn 1 into 2? So the next way that we can do this is anyone that signs up, we can give them a ticket for someone else. And we can explain why that's important, right? The social accountability, yada, yada, yada. But everyone that signs up, we can simply have the conversation with, hey, I have a free ticket for anyone that you want to bring along with you. And here's why we do this, because it helps you get better results. It provides social accountability, right? It helps us help more people, right? And if you wanted to split that with someone else, like split the registration, cool, that's good. But we give away tickets to someone else, or tickets to people that have already signed up, to then bring a friend. And so we kind of use this play at once we start getting to actually buying stuff. Unless you have members and things like that, you can give them a ticket to give away to someone. We've done this a lot in the past, and when we've run challenges in house, where if a member brings a friend to the challenge, they get it for free. So there's lots of ways we can structure this that makes sense. I have to kind of speak in generalities a little bit because we have such a wide variety of businesses listening to this. But just think about, how do I turn the concept that you need to think about is, how do I turn 1 sign up into 2? How can I incentivize that second sign up? Um, so that's the thought for play number 5, is the +1 thought. How do we turn 1 into 2? Number 6, and this is arguably my favorite. It's a little bit longer of a play. We need to have some relationships in place, but I call this the borrowed room. How do we borrow an audience from someone else? When we're just getting started, we likely don't have much of an audience outside of our personal network. And so, how do we borrow the audience of someone that's already spent years building an audience that isn't a direct competitor? A really easy one here is if you are a nutrition, habit, lifestyle focused coach, you don't do a ton of fitness stuff, partnering with a fitness facility that just does fitness, right? So there's plenty of those around. Even think like a row house or a running club or things like that. How do you partner with them? They already have the audience, they already have the people, and then you provide value to their people for this program, right? They run this program, and then now they're in your world and you move them into a coaching program after this program. Because remember, this is phase one of a multi step program, right? Phase one of a multi step program. This isn't just a challenge. We're not running challenges here. We're not building a challenge business. This is basically the on ramp, right? The bridge to our main program. And I would argue that you should give away the vast majority of the value from this program to the person that owns the audience. All right. So Christian just wrote med spas, chiropractors, great, phenomenal ones. You want to think about if you're only going to do one or two, we want to think about businesses that have higher volume and preferably businesses that have email lists, right? Because you're going to provide a lot of the content, you're going to provide the stuff for them to send out, yada yada yada, right? But they need to have an audience, so they have to be a fairly savvy business owner, and they need a little bit of volume. That's why I really like gyms. If you're a nutrition coach, if you're a fitness coach, and or maybe you do it all, just look for non-competing domains, and even look 1 degree away. So the challenge I give to most coaches is look at your perfect client. What else do they buy and where else do they go? Cool. Where do they get their hair done? Where do they get their nails done? Where do they shop? What boutiques do they go to? And you can start to kind of brainstorm and figure out where else your perfect client spends money. And then the next piece is, do I have a relationship with any of these influencers, owners, right? The people that own the audience. So, first, where do my people spend money and where do they spend their time? And then B, do I have any connection, right? Because we're going to need to move quickly here. So we're going to need a connection, and we can't spend 2 or 3 months kind of building rapport and that kind of stuff. We need to have a direct connection. And likely you do. Current clients, your own network, where do you go? All of those things can be connections. But then the one thing to think about is how do you make it a win for that person that owns the audience? And not even a win, how do they win way more than you? How do they get way more value out of it than you? It could be monetary. I'm going to give away 75% of the proceeds. If they're not really monetary interested or not money interested, it might be a status thing. Could you donate to a charity of their of their choosing, right? Or if they're part of a charity. There's lots of ways to structure this, but it's understanding what's important to that person. Okay? And that's just having a conversation with them and making sure that they win on this one because they're opening up their audience to you. And if they win, they're going to want to do that over and over and over again because their audience will continue to grow, right? And you'll be able to come back to this well over and over and over again. So I've given some examples of businesses, but there's also groups, right? Social groups, chamber of commerces, like BNI groups, like moms clubs, lions clubs, Rotary. Again, it comes back to who is my perfect client? What problem am I solving? And then where do those people hang out? Where do they socialize? Where do they spend their money? Where do they spend their time? Go there. Online, this could be like Facebook groups to be able to come in there if you know the owner of a group, right? Or it could be someone else's list or someone else's following and you do a partnership. Remember, don't just think in the health and fitness space. What else do they buy? Fashion is a really easy one. Beauty is a really easy one to connect with. We did a partnership with a local boutique, and this was probably, I don't know, a few years back, where we did a jeans challenge. And if they dropped a dress size or a jean size, we basically included a free pair of jeans in the registration fee for this particular challenge. And then we partnered with a local boutique. They were going to go to the boutique and get their jeans at the boutique. The boutique and us split the cost of the jeans, and we included it in the registration. And now the boutique got all of these people that were part of the challenge in their boutique and shopping and trying on jeans. And we brought wine and we had a great time. Everybody had a great time. And so it was a win for everybody. And then we cross promoted that particular challenge. So there's lots of examples here. Lots and lots and lots and lots of examples. But let me give you one more. How do you provide value to their audience? Right? Can you come in and give a presentation? Rotary clubs, Lions clubs, all these clubs are looking for speakers all the time. And if you can come in and provide value, you just being in front of everyone for 20 minutes is going to build authority. It's going to build the know, like, and trust factor much faster than any post you've ever made on the internet. Okay? It's just the power of being in front of the room with the clicker. So where can you find some local stages? And I use stages loosely, right? Stages just means in front of people providing value. And then we have the offer into your scholarship. Hey, we're giving away a scholarship, right? Where we're giving a complete full ride package to our program XYZ. If you're interested, put your name on this list. You can do the QR code thing if it is a big group, but I kind of like the piece of paper right there. Write it down: name, phone number, all of those things, right? And you go from there. So there's lots of ways. The borrowed room is probably one of my favorite. Arguably, it should be up a little higher on here, but the reason it's play number 6 is because it takes a little bit of work and takes a little bit of time to execute it. But that can be one of the fastest ways to build a business. And if you are an established business, it works just the same. Sometimes we forget about these kind of old tricks as you become a little bit more established. So maybe this is a good one to resurrect and execute. Okay. Again, on the online, it could be an IG collab or some adjacent practitioner, things like that, podcast guest spot, things like that. But honestly, I think brick and mortar, not brick and mortar here, but like offline here is going to be the fastest. But a guest training in someone else's community or something like that can work well too. So drop any questions you have in the chat. Happy to talk about some of this stuff at the end. The last one is what I call the secret knock. And now we get into actual content. We get into posting, right? And it's really around 3 posts, give or take, naming the problem, and then each of them ending with, the comment ready or comment results or whatever we want to get someone to raise their hand. And then the other thing from these posts, and this is something a lot of people forget about, is people are going to like it, but they're not going to comment. Anyone that likes it, we open it up and we send them a private DM, and we thank them for liking our post. And then we ask them if we can be really of any help if they're looking for help, right? And so basically 3 posts throughout. It doesn't necessarily need to be 3 posts in one day, but we want at least 3 posts where we're going to kind of seed a few different things. So we start with the myth and then the receipt and then the countdown. So I'll give you an example here. So the myth is the first one. You don't have a willpower problem. Willpower got you through Monday, meal prep Tuesday, and disappeared somewhere around Thursday's 8 p.m. pantry raid. That's not a character flaw. That's what happens when a plan has no follow-up built in. The fix isn't more discipline. It's a daily check-in with a human who notices. That's exactly what my next 4 weeks are built on. Comment ready to learn more, or whatever your ending may be, right? But it's the myth. I think I just need more willpower, but it's really not a discipline thing. You're disciplined. You display that in other areas of your life. Here's why you're not succeeding. Right. And so you got to kind of put that in for what your specific perfect client is looking for. So the receipt is the second one. A client said something last month I can't stop thinking about. I have a closet full of clothes I'm waiting to fit back into, and every Monday I start over. 4 weeks later, the restart stops. Not because the plan was magic, but because someone was in her corner every single day. If the Monday restart cycle sounds familiar, my next group starts September 11th. Comment ready. Right. And the last one, the countdown, September 11th, 10 spots only, daily check-ins, me in your corner for 4 weeks. I built this for XYZ person who is done trying to do it alone. And this first class gets more direct access to me than any group after it ever. And this first class gets more direct access to me than any group after it ever will. If that's your fall, comment ready. Right. We're basically just making an announcement on what we're doing. Hey, I've just created a program for XYZ person that achieves XYZ result. If you're interested in learning more, comment ready. Whatever that may be, right? We're going to use that. If you have any social media following, you can definitely use that. If we have a ton of social media following, we can hammer this a lot more. But what I find is coaches think that because I have a virtual business means I need to market virtually. And that's just not necessarily the fastest way to the results. Offline, guerrilla, shaking hands, kissing babies is a way faster way to build a program than making posts on the internet. Because again, even just your followers, right? Only a small percentage of them actually see your stuff. So there's 3 there. I put it at play number 7. I hope you don't even need to get there, but you can use it, but don't feel like that is your only way to execute this. Okay, we don't have to just win people from the internet. There's a better way to do this. And then everyone that comments on that post, right, we're going to send them a DM. This is all manual. We don't need to automate any of this. It doesn't need to be anything fancy, right? Just have conversations with humans and show them how you can help them, and then make the offer, make the ask, right? And then they have the right to say yes or say no. And if they say no, awesome. In the sales world, right, a non-answer is the worst thing possible. As a salesperson, I want to know yes or no. And they obviously I'd like more yeses, but a no is just fine because now I don't need to spend my time with that person. But maybe, or I'm going to think about it, right? We're going to keep following up, right? The money is in the follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up until someone says no. Cool. Thanks for letting me know. If I can support you at all in the future, I'm here for you. Right. And so we need to follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up with all these people. DMs, conversations, text messages, like the magic, it really the money is in the follow up. That's where it is. So I had a few people in the chat that were like, I'm a little bit overwhelmed. Here's what we need to do. Help list. Get that done. Start making those invitations. And honestly, you don't even need a funnel. Like you don't even need a funnel. Jacob and I were talking about this later. Is you don't even need a funnel at this point. If you're a brand new coach and you're trying to get 5 people into this, you don't even need a funnel. Just have the conversation. You could have a Google Doc that just here explains what you're doing that you could send people. This doesn't need to be complicated. And so if you're getting stuck on the tech pieces of it, get rid of that. You don't need it. Have the conversations, make offers. Here's what it is. It's a scholarship, right? Just sign up here and you get entered to win the scholar. You get entered into the scholarship. We're going to choose one on this date, right? Anyone that doesn't win is going to get second prize, and we're going to have that follow up, right? We don't need to have tens of thousands of conversations. We don't need all of these automations. For people that are using Growth Catalyst, you're typically a little bit further along in your business than others. And so then automations can be very valuable, right? Because we're going at a little bit more scale. But if we're just getting started, we can low tech this. We can low tech our way to 5 to 10 clients. We absolutely, absolutely, absolutely can. Now, your homework is on the Get More Clients page. Remember, the address for that one is getmoreclients.coachcatalyst.com. Your checklist is going to be there. I might tweak a few things on that page based upon this call and some stuff in the chat, but the checklist will be there on what you need to execute on until we meet again next Tuesday. Jacob just dropped that into the chat so you can get that there. And that's it. That's it. Next week, we're going to talk about opening the doors, right? So that we can be ready to open at the beginning of September. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Hopefully you've been doing the work. Hopefully you've been following along, not just consuming the information, but executing. Everything is inside of the getmoreclients.coachcatalyst.com page. All of the recordings, everything is there. And then please jump in the community, drop your marketing statement, get some feedback, use us, leverage us as your team so we can help you execute this. We want you to be successful, but you're not going to be successful if you don't do the work. So that's the message for today. Get in, do the work, fill the room. Thanks so much for hanging out. My name is Trevor. This is Build with the CEO, and we are week 3 of Get More Clients Project. See you guys.